Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And once you knock one domino over, they all fall over pretty damn quick. We're going to talk about this like right after we talked about the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel. Now we've got Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, saying that he is setting his sights on The View. Shocker.
Yeah. I mean, let's be fair. The View has been a train wreck for quite a while.
We have been talking about The View for a while. I mean, The View, infamously, anti-Trump for the most part, used to be, I mean, people pointed this out too. At the beginning, The View used to just be a bunch of women from different places in life, different stages of life, talking about their kids and their grandkids and their careers. And
it was a lifestyle show. It was like, you tune in, it was for everyone, and that's how it was. And it just became more and more politically charged as it went on. And I mean, last, 10 years or so, it's just been insane.
Yeah, I mean, they occasionally have conservative voices on there, but they get heckled off the show pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. So it's like they don't last very long. I think Raven Simone was even kind of calling them out as being too far left for her.
Well, that's just it. When we talk about people we blame for the situation, I mean, The View is one of the top of the list. Yeah. These people, Sunny is like, nothing you ever say is good enough. She's always like, just constantly trying to battle everyone about everything. And then Whoopi and it's Sunny, Whoopi, and Joy. Yet the show is so devoid of fun.
I know. We made that joke. Yeah,
I know. And it's just like The View. Actually, when you talk about shows that are politically polarized and pickled, and just I don't know how they're still on the air, this is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Even over the late night shows, this was the first one that always came to mind for me.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in the find out stage right now, and it's happening very, very, very quickly. And again, this is just kind of, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, Schadenfreude. They think this is fantastic, and I think in some cases it probably needs to happen. Again, just a disclaimer. We are concerned about the slippery slope that the state's going to be able to dictate what can and cannot be said on air.
I worry about us going into China territory, but I also get where people are coming from.
I get it. People are tired. People are tired of it. I mean, I think,
I said, if you get abused so long, eventually you're going to hit back, and
And we talked about it actually in the car earlier today. Because we talk to each other IRL too, believe it or not.
Sometimes,
but we talked about this being about saving money too, because a lot of these late night hosts and morning show hosts and talking heads get paid a ridiculous amount of money, and the viewership is dropping, and they're not getting a return on their investment. I mean, Colbert, you could argue, it was Trump. I'm like, that might have been the tipping point, but really Colbert was losing $40 to $50 million a year for CBS. And
he was for a while, and he was the best performing one.
Yeah. And I'm looking at Kimmel. Kimmel doesn't even know what his numbers are, where his money comes from. We talked about that before. He's like, well,
how any of this works.
Yeah, I must be doing okay because they keep paying me. I'm like, well, until they decide not to. And
I guess you didn't do okay. Now you know.
Very, very similar to Twitter. If you guys remember, once Elon Musk came in and gutted Twitter and it still functioned for the most part, all the other tech companies decided to start tossing people overboard. And I think they're looking at Colbert and they're like, you know what? We really don't need to spend whatever millions of dollars a year on Jimmy Kimmel because nobody's watching him. And now 3/4 of our local stations aren't going to carry him because of some dumb shit he said.
Well, it also raises that whole thing about you get the people that are the extremists that kept demanding that Gina Carano be canceled, for example.
Yeah. And
they got rid of Gina Carano, and now the people are upset. They're all mad that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air, indefinitely, and the same people, and they're going to scream and they're going to be annoying. So it's just much easier to be like, you know what, we're going to take it all down, not care, because we're tired of dealing with your shit. And The View, I mean, what they did say that what happened was too far and was wrong. People are getting so polarized and pickled because they watch they have a constant diet of these shows.
Yeah.
And they're out of touch with other people, out of touch with reality. And look, you don't have to agree with Charlie Kirk. You don't have to agree with these people. You don't have to. And that's your right to not agree. But, killing people over not agreeing with you is too far. And then, and then mocking and all that stuff. And then just, saying things isn't true just to try to keep it incited. Not good. It's going too far. And now it's leading to witch hunts that I think are also going too far, depending on what it is. But it's concerning. But The View is the next on the potential chopping block, apparently.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the truth. I think where this could potentially end, and this isn't to be alarmist, I think this could potentially end with, at least for the immediate future, all left-wing talking heads being excised from broadcast television.
Because I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right, but a lot of these people, let's be honest, they've been goading Trump supporters.
Those people, I agree that they are probably the root cause. And I said it since day one when this happened. I said I blame the media, I blame social media, I blame shows like The View, that kind of stuff. Yeah. For this whole situation, and I still blame them. And I can see tempering it, dialing it back, tempering it down, and some of these shows that have gone too far should be removed. I don't believe that all of them should be.
Well, I think they're going to have guidelines, and that's what concerns me, is that we're going to set the precedent that now the government's going to dictate.
See, that's where it becomes tricky, because I don't like them, but they had the right to say what they wanted to say. I mean, now there's consequences for saying what you want to say, but they should have, they had the right to say it.
So this is, well, I guess before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants 7 minutes into the video. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com, and you can check out our newsletter. Sign up for that. You will get notified when we post new videos. You'll get an email notification in case YouTube does not do its job very well, which it doesn't do its job very well very often. So this comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Brendan Carr sets his sights on The View and appearance on conservative radio show. So what was he on? The Scott Jennings radio show. This is another guy.
Don't know who that is. Sorry.
I have no idea. Everybody's like, you guys are like right-wing talking heads. I'm like, I don't even watch these people.
I don't even know who these people are half the time. We're just in the middle and occasionally have to talk about politics because it involves pop culture.
So he went on the Scott Jennings radio show on Thursday where he suggested he may look into The View. Well, The View was created by the legendary Barbara Walters. It is primarily a panel talk show, albeit one that tackles current events. It used to, again, be more about, hey, let's complain about our husbands. Hey, let's complain about our kids. Hey,
it was a lifestyle show that did talk about current events, but it was nowhere near what it is now. Like it started out with the best of intentions, and now we're
yeah,
the road to hell. I'm just saying.
Road. That's that is what I'm concerned about, and you can mark my words on that one. I think the pendulum, and we've talked about the pendulum swing. I
for
study Newton. I think that because the left pushed so hard, the right is getting, and now it's culminated in murder and celebration of murder. Now shit's gonna get real.
Well, now even the normies are like, oh hell.
Yeah, they're like, no, we don't even want to hear it. So this is what he said. This is Brendan Carr, head of the FCC. He said, when you look at these other TV shows, what's interesting is the FCC does have a rule called the equal opportunity rule. Okay. But there's an exception to that rule called the bona fide news exception, which means if you're a bona fide news program, you don't have to abide by the equal opportunity rule. Over the years, the FCC has developed a body of case law on that and has suggested that most of the late night shows other than SNL are bona fide news programs. And potentially, I would assume you can make the argument that The View is a bona fide news show, but I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's worthwhile to have the FCC look into whether The View and some of the programs that you have still qualify as bona fide news programs and therefore exempt from the equal opportunity regime that Congress has put in place. Basically, they're not technically a news show. They're an opinion, commentary, lifestyle show, and they're pushing politics on one side of the aisle and not the other.
Well, they are basically a commentary show. I mean, that's what they are.
They said the issue is whether The View, which is produced by ABC News, qualifies as a bona fide news program and is thus exempt from certain FCC rules, including the equal opportunity or equal time rule. So if a candidate for office receives time on a broadcast is deemed to be applicable to the role. Okay, so this is what happened with 60 Minutes, basically.
Right, and he was mad about that, and I think Saturday Night Live too, or whatever. But yeah.
Yes, Harris was on Saturday Night Live, but that's a sketch show. So, and they have had presidents and former presidents on The View before. And he
Yeah, but
called
what
that.
they did was they tried to say, well, Trump had they had the same offer, but they made sure it was scheduled during a time when people wouldn't probably watch. When the audience would watch him, be watching something else.
Yeah. He said The View has had frequently hosted guests of all political persuasions, but they had Biden stop by before. I think what is going to happen, and look, I mean, I hope on some level I'm wrong, but I think what is going to happen is that, not that I'm saying I want The View to be on the air, but I'm saying Disney, I think, is going to get tired of all of this shit, and they're going to be like, you know what? It's not worth it. It's
Well,
not.
they
It's
were
not worth
trying
it.
to save ABC, and now I'm kind of wondering because they were going all the way to try to save NBC because that's Bob Iger's baby because he came from ABC, the other
Yes.
man. Um, I wonder if they're going to cave and just get rid of it because of all the hassle that's coming with it.
Okay.
I
So,
do wonder.
um, I don't even know if I've told you this. I have heard rumblings. I can't say where I've heard them, but I've heard rumblings that whole Apple rumor. Remember the rumor that Apple was going to buy Disney for content
Yeah, yeah,
that everybody was talking about, like a couple of years ago.
yes.
I've heard rumors that is potentially going to happen after Bob Iger leaves. That's going to be the big send off, and
That
that
he
it's
sells
going.
Disney.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's
don't know if I believe that, but I'm
I,
just saying ABC is something that people have thought for a while they were going to get rid of, and Bob Iger's gone out of his way to save ABC no matter what, and he's always touting
ABC and
linear.
ESPN. Yeah, because that's
Yeah,
his.
and
Yeah.
there and linear, and he's always going on about saving ABC because he came from ABC. But I'm wondering if and for a while investors were like, okay, he's bringing it back up with this, so maybe we're good. But now it's like ABC's liability.
Yeah, because most of these, I mean, most of the lawsuits and the fines and stuff you're hearing about, I mean, with CBS too. I think at the very least, what's going to happen is like they did with Paramount, and this is kind of what, again, it's a double-edged sword. What is going to happen is they're going to install, was it ombudsman, the basically an overseer to make sure that they're in compliance, and that person has to report to the government if they're not in compliance. And that is going to usher in a bunch of censorship, I think, on these programs. And that's what I think is, at the very least, is going to happen. But yeah, I don't think ABC News is worth it. I really don't. I think, I mean, we know what Universal NBC thinks of MSNBC. It wasn't even worth, they scraped off
Right.
the bottom of their shoe and they bundled it up with a bunch of other shit that wasn't performing, and they kind of sent it to
They got
Siberia.
rid of it because they didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I think it's too much of a liability. And let's make the mistake here. I think the reason that they're being, shut down is partially political, but I think a lot of it is because they aren't bringing it like that, not to deserve to say what they want to say the way they're saying it. And like, they're not bringing enough bang to warrant letting them get away with that much shit.
That's exactly it. Because you're only as good as your last gig. You're only as good as the amount of money you're bringing in. We don't know what The View actually brings in, but we're finding out that more and more of these shows that we think are a hit are actually costing the networks tons and tons of money.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg keeps saying in interviews how she needs the job and needs to work.
Why?
I don't know, but she does apparently. So we don't know what her situation is. There must be something that caused it. But she's like, she's mentioned it more than once.
Yeah,
and then I'm sure that she doesn't want it canceled.
I'm
But
sure, but just do more Star Trek or something.
I don't know.
what
It's
I'm
just
saying?
it was interesting to me because they did all say, this was not okay. But
Yes.
they also, I think, were part of the reason that, not saying specifically, I'm saying that whole mentality and that
The
whole,
mentality that
whole, far leftist, news outlets, quote unquote, I think led to the pickling that, ended up in the situation that it became.
who radicalized you? Joy Behar. But yeah, I mean, they're on there day in, day out for a decade. A lot of these hosts, and it's
They
basically
loved Trump before.
they did. But the whole show, the whole shtick is basically attack Trump supporters, attack conservatives, shut down conservative guests you have on, even when they make them look bad, which more often than not they do. And they go after people that are moderate. They had Matthew McConaughey was on there before. And he basically had to tell him to shut up. Arnold Schwarzenegger had to tell him to shut up.
Well, they kept trying to grab his arm, like, stop talking, stop talking. And he kept going. He's like, if you come to the country and you're here, you need to do it legally. You need to follow the laws, and you should be proud to be here. And he wasn't wrong. And the audience was applauding because people are just over it. And everything, like, we talked earlier about Gina Carano getting canceled, but everything that she said in that post that got her canceled initially has coming to pass.
Yeah.
And it's like we said then, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. That's exactly what's happening. And now we're at a point where people are cheering for things that are abhorrent and shouldn't happen. And the people that were the ones leading the charge, even in a roundabout way, like The View, are, oh crap, what went too far? We have to walk it back, and now they might lose their job.
They honestly thought they lived in a bubble, and they honestly thought that Trump would never come back, that the right was out of the picture, and everything was going to be okie dokie in LA everywhere and New York everywhere, and I think the election map for the last election was a huge eye opener for these people, because I don't think they realized how much of a minority they actually are.
Middle America could have told them, but they weren't listening.
Yeah, they tried. And every time you try, well, you're a Trump supporter. You always punch Nazis. Trump supporter equals Nazi.
But here's the thing: to extremists, any reason is going to be seen as an attack, and that's just the problem. Is you have the majority of people saying this isn't okay, this has gone too far, we don't want to put up with it anymore, we can't deal with this anymore, and you only want to hear your echo chamber, and then you're out there labeling people so you can dismiss them, and all you're doing is just making them angrier and pushing them further and further away from you, and that's what happened.
So I do believe everything's going to go pretty much to the right for the next couple of years, and it might be longer than that, just because of the amount, or I guess the amount that the American people are fed up with all the shit. And the Charlie Kirk thing definitely was.
I just wanted to go back to middle. I just wanted to go back to people like, if Charlie Kirk wants to talk to people, he's allowed to talk to people. No one kills him. I want to go back to, not everything has to be viewed with a red or blue lens. Let's put, let's like, you don't need to view everything through a, black and white situation. And I'm tired of it. It's exhausting. And I think people are just tired.
Yeah, it's depressing, because I talked about it in one of the live streams the other day where, I never used to think about politics when I thought about comic books or video games or any of that. Now,
I just wanted to have entertainment.
Everything, every show, every comic book, every video game, everything is through a red or blue lens anymore. Mostly blue, because it's mostly...
Well, they're walking it back now, but it's been years of it. And then when they lost money...
Yes.
They care.
Yes.
So it's all about, and the thing is, if they're getting rid of The View, if they get rid of, Jimmy Kimmel Live, if they get rid of these things, if they were making them money, and they seriously thought it was going to, them keeping them with those shows was going to, boost their bottom line, they'd do it.
Yeah.
The fact that they aren't tells me that it was losing proposition. They were just looking for a reason. And they think that they're going to lose more money by, taking off middle America than they are the far left.
There we go. All right, we got to wrap this up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.